Mind of the People. WQXFM 88.5, Memphis.
What's up, Memphis? It's Tuesday, and I am back on the radio. Welcome to Soar with Coach Karren. I am Coach Karren, and I am glad you are here with me. Whether you're on the radio, on the Voice of SCS website, on Soar with Coach Karren website, thank you for tuning in. Shout out to all the teachers and administrators who are getting settled in after fall break. Thank you for all you do. This hour is just for you. If this is your first time tuning in, I am Coach Karren. Some of you know me as Coach Karren, as Pastor Karren. Some of you simply know me as Karren, and some of you don't know me at all. But as I always say, if you get close enough and listen long enough, I promise something will happen that can change your life. I am an author, a speaker, a certified professional coach, a counselor, a doctoral student, but most importantly, I'm a mom, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. Join my Facebook page at Coach Karren Todd or CoachKarren.com. 2 R's in Karren, one for real and one for relevant. I'm excited about today's show. Soar with Coach Karren, that always gets the guests. Okay. Soar with Coach Karren is all about inspiration and motivation for your lunch hour. SOAR stands for success over and above reason, because when you tap into the best version of yourself, you open the door to have success in every area of your life. So, today, our topic is My Sister's Keeper, as we continue to blaze the path towards success. Also on the way is the raspberry letter segment. Why is the letter raspberry? Because someone already had the strawberry letter, and that would have been copyright infringement. So I add a little flavor to my letter, made it raspberry. So I promise you don't want to miss that letter. Neither do you want to miss what my guests have to say about it. On Soar with Coach Karren, we pride ourselves on having some of the best voices in our community to bring us up to speed on any topic, and today is no exception. My first guest in the building, we have Autura. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Okay. Autura Eason-Williams was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee. She is a graduate of University of Memphis, Memphis Theological Seminary, and pursuing a Doctor of Ministry degree at Wesley Seminary in Washington, D.C. A lifelong United Methodist, Autura accepted a call to full-time ministry in 1997 and has served under appointment since 2002. Currently in her 12th year. Look at the Lord. I love the look on your face when I say that. You're like, yeah. Currently in her 12th year as pastor of Capelville United Methodist Church, a multi-ethnic church in Southeast Memphis. Autura also serves as chair of the Memphis Conference Board of Ordained Ministry, member of the Methodist Labana Healthcare Faith and Health Committee, and the My Sister's Keeper planning team. Autura is the wife of Darrell Eason-Williams and mother to 4 children, Ayana, John, Terrence Jr., and Gwendolyn. Is that right?
That's
wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I try to read well. My second grade teacher will be amazed. So also in the building, I have Miss Joyce Kyles. She is an award-winning, nationally credentialed speaker, 2-time Amazon best-selling author, and a survivor of domestic abuse. Known for her transparent and passionate approach, she combines nearly 20 years of professional training and personal experiences to provide audiences nationwide with realistic expectations and increased awareness while challenging action and accountability. That's a long sentence. Affectionately known as a solution speaker, Joyce is the executive director of Walk Into a New Life Incorporated and co-owner of Kyle's Connections. Her humbling accolades, awards, and freelance writing opportunities include features in Huffington Post, Mogul, the Memphis Flyer, Tri-State Defender, Black Press USA, the New Orleans Tribune, and being named the 2017 Crime Victim Advocate of the Year. Joyce is a proud wife, mother of Mimi, and community leader. Welcome to the show, Joyce.
Thank you.
Speak up now. There you go. And just, your humble accolades stop when you get on the radio. You can't have a humble voice on the radio.
Right.
So listen, stay tuned in the next hour. We're going to add some inspiration and motivation to your day with conversation and some good music. It's time for you to soar with Coach Karren on the only station you and your family can agree on, 88.5, the voice of SCS. So turn it down just a little bit because we can actually talk to people because I'm live. What? Ain't that nothing, bro? You're trying to get me cut off while you go and mute your stuff. So if you want to share the live on your page, I am live on the Coach Karren page. I see Jenny has joined us. I see LaShonda has joined us. There's some other people that I missed that have joined us. So welcome. We are live. Because we are live on my laptop. So normally we're live from the Voice of SCS page. But so if you have questions or anything, we can talk directly to you during the break and all that good stuff. So while Michael Jackson is playing, we can talk to you.
Hi, Gordon. How are you? How are you?
So you get the behind the scenes today.
good. You are on Voice of SES now.
I know.
Okay,
I'm just
okay,
on.
okay.
Yeah. Y'all need some water? Y'all good?
Water.
I'll take some too.
Yes, ma'am.
LaShonda Morrell says, hello, everyone.
Hello.
Congratulations, LaShonda. I think you are a GG again, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations.
Wow. Is she?
She has been anxiously anticipating the addition to the family. She said she's just tuning in. Today's discussion is My Sister's Keeper. So I have Reverend Autura Eason-Williams on. I have Joyce Kyles on. Reverend Eason is going to talk a lot about My Sister's Keeper and some of the things that she has going on at Capeville. Yes. And Joyce is going to talk about the things that she has going on with walking into a new life. So that's what's going on today, LaShonda. Hi, Paris. She says, hello, everyone. Paris Ducker. Latoya Dotson says, hello.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much.
So we'll be right back. Like I said, you get behind the scenes today. So we'll be right back. After no short break. It's just going to keep going.
Just keep going.
So
I'm on
go
your
to,
page, but I
oh,
don't
go to
know
the Coach
how.
Karren page. So, is that me? It might be the other Coach Karren. Let's see. There I'm in. There are several Coach Karens, which we've realized. So Coach Karren Todd.
With two arms.
But there's two songs.
Well, the one R came up, but I don't know.
All right.
Just thinking about it. But I clicked it so you can get on the page. So once you get on the page, you can share it. Mm-hmm. So it's thinking about bringing it. You go down a little taste more. There we go. So we share it from right there.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. So the first question I normally ask is to tell me what you do and what's the most fulfilling part about what you do. I just like to get into you right before I say it. People like, you would have told me that yesterday. No. You are listening to Soar with Coach Karren here on WQOX 88.5 FM. It's time to soar with Coach Karren, but before you soar, you've got to jump. So today we're going to jump into a conversation about My Sister's Keeper. So again, to my guest, Joyce Kyles, Reverend Autura, thank you so much for being here. So to kick off our conversation, I want you to tell the listeners what you do and what's the most fulfilling part about what you do. And whoever grabs the mic can go first. And it is being pushed to Joyce Kyles. All right.
No problem. So what was the question again?
Now, I will be asking several questions today.
Okay, I was expecting her.
Tell the listeners what you do
All right.
and what's the most fulfilling part about what you do.
Okay, so I wear several hats, but for the purposes of this particular interview, I am the founder and executive director of Walking Into a New Life. And so our mission is to provide tangible resources for people who've been impacted by domestic violence or some intersection. So I'm an activist, I am an advocate, and probably the most fulfilling thing about this for me has been those who are able to transition and then come back to me years later.
Yeah.
And they will share something that I said that I didn't realize it had the impact that it did. And so, you know, it's one thing to be in purpose and walk in purpose, but to know that your popularity has impact.
Yeah.
That's when it really matters. So for me, that's been the most fulfilling part of it, of all of it. It's just being able to see people really soar and thrive, not just survive.
And you know, this is full circle for us.
Yes.
The very first event that I did for Domestic Violence Project Stand in 2014, you have a radio show called
Boots on the Ground.
Boots on the Ground, and I was on your
Yes.
radio show to talk about Project Stand the very first year that we did it. So it's full circle.
It
See,
is.
look, isn't that wonderful?
All right.
So let's go to Reverend Autura. Tell the listeners what you do and what's the most fulfilling part about what you do.
So I'm a United Methodist minister.
Mhm.
I've been serving under appointment since 2002. For the purposes of our conversation today, I'm representing My Sister's Keeper, which is an outreach to African American women through Methodist Labana Healthcare. I'm getting a great nod from our communications person. I serve on their Faith and Health Committee and as a founding member of My Sister's Keeper, along with you.
I am.
Pastor Karren.
Isn't that something? Tell my grandma, ain't that nothing? So tell me, what's the most fulfilling part about, whether it's most fulfilling part about being a pastor, or the most fulfilling part about being on the planning committee for Methodist? Just one of those things. What is fulfilling, or all of that? What fulfills you in your area of service, or your areas?
For me, all of it is ministry.
Gotcha. Okay.
So just reaching people where they are, where they are in the midst of their hurt, their pains, their joy, doing life with people. Yeah, that's what it's about. Yeah, walking with them as they journey. We just all journey together. So tell me, or tell us, actually tell them, I know a little bit more about it. Tell the listeners about the My Sister's Keeper initiative from Methodist Labana Healthcare. You're going to hear us say that well, because we were trained right before we got on the air. We were like, no. Methodist Labana Healthcare. So you'll hear us say that correctly. It's a whole system. It's not just Methodist. It's not just Labana. It's a system. Methodist Labana Healthcare. So tell me about the My Sister's Keeper initiative. So I guess about a year and a half ago, we at Methodist Labana Healthcare Systems were blessed to bring on a new senior vice president, Dr. Albert Mosley. Okay. And this is like his initiative to bring along African American female pastors and addressing the fact that we make up 28% of this community, but we're not on the forefront of advocacy in this community. Yeah. I mean, Ms. Kyles is one of the exceptions. You are an exception, but before the percentage that we have in Shelby County, it's just not a good representation. Gotcha. So he brought us together to begin to look at, as clergy women leaders, how can we take care of one another? How can we lift up one another's voices together? Right. And so that's how My Sister's Keeper was born. And this is the second event this year. Yes. So the first event was last year. We had an amazing time. So we're going to give you information about that and also tell you how you can register and all that. And it's absolutely free. So make sure you keep listening for the My Sister's Keeper initiative. But I also want to talk about, so you have a role on the Faith and Health Committee for Methodist Labana Healthcare. So you have a role on the Faith and, so tell me what does the Faith and Health Committee do? And then what do you do on the Faith and Health Committee? Okay. On the Faith and Health Committee, I'm just a member. Okay. Praise God. But you are a voice at the table. But I am a voice at the table. Yeah, absolutely. And, absolutely. The way I see my role as a Faith and Health Committee member is the hospital, the healthcare system works really hard to be accountable to the community, especially the religious community. And so I sit on that committee as a United Methodist pastor to try to help hold the hospital accountable for who we say we are. And what we say we'll do. Absolutely. Certainly. Okay. Absolutely. Awesome. So Joyce, I know that you are here today on the side of advocacy for intimate partner violence or domestic violence awareness. So tell me, well, first I want you to briefly share your survivor story with us.
So this is my 11th year that I'm celebrating my survivorship. So yes.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
And so walking into a new life was really birthed from that. I can't say that this was an experience of, oh yeah, you know, when you're going through it, you just want to get out of it. And so that was really what it was for me. I didn't grow up thinking, I'm going to grow up and be a domestic violence advocate.
Yeah.
So just coming out of that experience and understanding that there are multiple types of abuse, and that domestic violence is really 80% of what you don't see and 20% of what you do.
Gotcha.
So for me, understanding that, because so much, especially in my later experiences with DV, it wasn't physical. And so that's why I was in it as long as what I was.
Yeah.
And just knowing that I needed to do something different with my life. I was looking at my children's faces and thinking, okay, I am bringing them up in this, and this is what they are going to remember, what they see of their childhood, and wanted to do something different. So I made a decision that was very difficult, because in that process, I lost my home, my car. We got downsized at my job that I'd been at for, almost 8 years, and they closed the door on 230 something of us. So just that process, that's really how I got into this. But who I am is a result of those experiences. Right.
And we always hear that there is always a lesson in the things that we go through. And sometimes in watching the terrible violence, watching the devastation, the things that happen in it, we cannot see that there can't be anything good. You know what I mean? That comes from this, but to sit on the other side and look back at it and to see you being a star, the star that you are. See, I slid your theme song in there. See, I
you said it without saying
hey,
it.
It's what I do. But seeing you on this side and being a keeper of your sisters and being that is absolutely amazing. So tell us, what does, because we know why you started. As you were walking into a new life, you decided to start the nonprofit Walking Into a New Life. But tell me, what does Walking Into a New Life do? So
we, by mission definition, do provide tangible services for individuals who've been impacted by domestic violence. Because for me, it was always important that we not just tell people to leave, because that's easy to tell somebody to go, but can you give me $5 to help that process?
And can I come and stay with you?
And can you come and stay with you?
Certainly.
And usually when that happens, the answer is no. And so it's easy to just say to leave. So what we try to do is make sure that either we as an organization can give you those tangibles, or that we are connected with others who are able to do that, and then host different programs throughout the year where we're doing town halls, where we're doing Pamper and Support Day. And that's one of our signatures. Is making sure that the women that come to those events, they have food, they make sure that when they leave, they have every tangible, soap, dishwasher liquid, detergent, whatever you need, things that we take for granted. So when they get there, they have that. We usually have a discussion, and then there's some type of pampering services, whether it's massages, manicure, pedicure, something that, and then when you leave, you're taking something with away. You. So when you walk away, you walking away with something that you can take with you for yourself and your family.
Awesome. One of the things that my pastor used to say all the time is that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Absolutely.
So some of the things that you are doing, some of the things you're doing tangibly. And I remember when I first started talking about domestic violence, you were already talking about it. When I first started talking about it in 2014, there had been like 3 or 4 different homicides related to domestic violence. And I decided that I needed to do something beyond, oh my God, this is horrible. No, we put a post on Facebook and then we go on with our lives. And then something else happens. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened again. And then we go on with our lives. But I wanted to do something more, but I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. So one of the things that our organization does is to raise awareness and resources and give them to organizations like Walking Into a New Life. The people that were already on the ground, already doing the work. You keep doing the work. I had enough on my plate, but there was a tug in my heart, because domestic violence is not my story. And some people, and I try to remember to say that all the time, because people assume that it is. That's not my story, but it tugs my heart.
But that speaks to the whole point of the title of the show today, about being a sister's keeper.
Absolutely.
See, that might not be your story necessarily, but it touched your heart in a way that it belonged to one of your sisters.
Yes.
So whether it's a actual birth sister, or a sister in ministry, or a sister on the street, we all need each other, and we all have something that we can give and contribute to really weave this fabric together.
Right.
So it doesn't matter that you've not gone through necessarily, but someone that has. If it's 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men, we know somebody.
Everybody knows.
And honestly, sometimes it's us, and we don't know it.
We don't know, because it's not just physical. It can be financial. It can be emotional. So you're in a relationship where someone is talking down to you all the time. Somebody's controlling everything. You can't go see your family. You can't do this. That's abuse.
Psychological,
That's
physical,
absolutely,
emotional,
absolutely. Religious,
sexual, religious,
all of that.
You know, it's a myriad of it. And like I said, because this happened to me twice. You know, so I'm very transparent about that. This was my experience twice. So the first time it was physical, really physical. So when I entered into a second relationship, which was longer, I didn't realize that I was being abused because I wasn't being hit. And that's what I always tell people, because they go, how did you do that a second time? You enter into things that when you don't know any better, you know, this is what you conform to. So that's why I stayed as long as I did.
Got you. And in that walk back process, in the recovery process and walking into a new life, there are people and places that are set up to help people, sisters who are coming out of that. And then there are also places where we need to go to get emotional healing. And that's one of the things that I love about being involved with My Sister's Keeper, because it's a one-day event. I believe it's a half a day this year, but when you are there are so many panels, there's so many people that are there that you get to be around your sisters who are dealing with what you're dealing with, seeing what you're seeing, and you're getting poured into at the same time. So what can we expect from My Sister's Keeper this year? It's actually Saturday, so not Saturday, November 2nd.
It's November 2nd.
Okay, so what can we expect at My Sister's Keeper this year?
So we will have an Ask the Docs session, which was really popular last year.
Yes, it
and
was.
Some of the doctors that are going to be involved this year are Reggie Green. She's a family medicine physician. Mikkel Harris, a psychologist. Sandra Randolph, also family medicine. And Danielle Tate is an OBGYN. So that was a really popular session last year. People got to ask a lot of questions that they probably have been holding, haven't wanted to feel free to ask, or haven't made that appointment.
Hadn't made the appointment. And then to sit in this safe space. And to be able to ask those questions. So that was, and I remember that part went over, because there was so many, each question led to another question. Okay, so if you say that, then this, so what about this? And what about hot flashes? And what about, we just went everywhere with it, but it was a safe space.
And the thing about it is, it starts off with worship. Well, it starts off with eating. And then it goes into worship. And that worship experience really set the whole tone. It really set the whole tone, and it opened people up. And so by the time you get to the Ask the Doc session, you're like feeling like a sister.
We are literally in here. We are all sisters, related by blood, is what it feels like. By
the blood of Jesus.
Yes. So as a pastor, what has been your experience in keeping your sisters as it relates to ministry?
So I have always been a part of a covenant group. And sometimes my covenant group has been 12 sisters. The covenant group I'm a part of now is there are 4 of us. And we keep watch over one another every week. We visit with each other every week, but we keep up with each other on a daily basis. And one of the things that I'm always reminded of, and this came from Adam Hamilton. He has a book that talks about the name of the book is blank. I'm blanking on it right now, but he talks about stretcher bearers. And he looks at Mark 2, the story of the paralytic man. I said the paralytic woman carried on a mat by 4 friends. She's paralyzed. We don't know why. We don't know what's going on with her, but her friends think so much of her that they know they need to get her to Jesus. And they get to where Jesus is, and
can't get in.
You can't get in. They got to renovate the roof to pull her down, so that she can be in the presence of Jesus. And we all need some 4 friends. We all need
that when we can't make it, we're
stretcher bearers. Yes, we all need stretching
and let us down at the feet of Jesus.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a time, look, I'll start with you, Joyce. Has there ever been a time that you didn't feel kept by other women? We're talking about being my sister's keeper, but has there been a time where you didn't feel like I'm not being kept?
Yes, ma'am. and
would you like to elaborate?
Probably not on this particular subject.
Okay. All right.
And I know there are some people who are listening, so they know,
Oh yeah, don't tell that story then.
So,
okay.
Because we just recently had this discussion.
Okay.
And so I think that's why I am really trying to be intentional about it in doing checks and balances for myself. One of my sister's keeper has become one of my signature conversations now. And that's wise, because we first of all need to make sure that we're being a good sister to someone, and then we need to know the people in our circle to see if they're being good sisters to us.
Yes.
So it's a give and take, a giving and a receiving. And so for me, especially coming out of domestic abuse, there's a lot of victim blaming.
Yes.
And there's a lot of folks who, told you so and that kind of thing. And so that's probably been one of my hardest challenges, and why I am so adamant about being such an advocate for those who are trying to transition out.
Right.
Because you don't have a lot of support, and you don't have a lot of support from the people that you would think would give it to you.
Right.
And that was very hard. And that's a lot of the reason that people stay in those places. It's one of the reasons that I stayed. It's because I knew what was being said about me, even when it wasn't being said to me. And so it makes it hard to know that if I decide to leave, who's really going to be there for me and be there for me without judgment? So I really strive hard to not be that person. I am thankful that I am in a place where I do have sisters in my corner that support, and brothers, but I do have sisters that support me. But even in this walk, I've had to remove some people, and I am removing people now. I think this is a process of, seeing what those sisters are. Maybe that season for that sisterhood is over, and it's okay, but we have to go where we're going to be fed, and we have to also be in a place where we can feed other people. There have been folks that I had to step away from because I wasn't being the sister that I needed to be for them. So sometimes we get so full of ourselves that, I'm doing, no.
Yeah, I'm busy. I got a lot on my plate.
Yes. And maybe you're too busy for that person, but you may be damaging that individual with not being honest and saying, I can't give you what you need. If you can't, be a sister and say, I can't, but let me direct you to someone who can. Right. Because to me, that is true sisterhood as well.
Okay. So has there ever been a time, Reverend Autura, where you didn't feel kept by other women, by sisters?
I'm sure there has been, but I can't think of one right now. Like I said, I've been in a covenant group for quite a long time. But I do remember when I have not been a good keeper, or I remember when I first realized that I wasn't being a good keeper. And I'm an introvert, an extreme introvert. Like it takes a lot of energy for me to be here right now. I'm gonna need a nap after
I'm trying
this.
to give you some of my extra. I'm an extroverted extrovert, so I'm trying to help you.
But I have a friend named Karren.
She sounds like a good person already.
She is.
Hey, I feel it.
I met in college, and it was her persistence in being a friend to me that helped me to know how to be a friend to someone else, and to see how important it was. Right. If it were not for her, I probably wouldn't even be in ministry. There was a time when I told God, I can't do this Christian thing. I don't know,
all this Jesus stuff. I'm not really sure about it.
I thought I was doing what I needed to do, but I still feel, kind of separate. I still feel like I'm not doing it. So I'm just going to be a good person because I'm really good at being a good person. But God didn't let me go. And there was a point in time when I stopped going to church, but Karren called me every Sunday to ask me, did I go to my church? Not to go to church with her, because she knew I grew up in church and how important my church was to me.
Right.
But I wasn't going. And so she called me every Sunday for 2 years.
Wow.
She called me
that's
until
a keeper.
I got back
into
church.
Mm-hmm.
And it was when I started back into church and got my children into church that I began to hear God's call to ministry on my life. Mm-hmm. But if it had not been for her, it might have taken a whole lot longer for that to happen.
Right. Absolutely awesome. Listen, let's keep the conversation going on social media. Tag me or use hashtag SOAR901. If you ever want to submit a question, you can do that on the Coach Karren Facebook page or on CoachKarren.com. We're going to take a quick break, catch our breath. We'll be back. Keep it locked here at 88.5 for more conversation. Plus, the raspberry letter is up next. It's 12:30. See how quick that goes?
Yeah, this seems like this been an hour. Wow.
Like, where you little soul moment? You little soul moment. So the raspberry letter is up next. And I'm looking here. Latasha Brown is on. She says, hello, Joyce. She says, oh, she was repeating you. Worship opens people up. And she said, worship is welcoming God in. So we've got quite a few people out here. She says, hi, Joyce. Angela Rainey.
Say hi to me. Somebody say hi to me.
Somebody say hi to Reverend Autura now. We out here with the Joyce Kyles fan club.
You know, it's a blessing because those are some people, like a couple of those names, people that I went to high school.
Kavanje,
Yes, ma'am.
come in here and turn this down a little bit for me, sir. So they won't get me.
Are you doing your story? You ain't doing your story next, right?
No, raspberry letters next. So I told you today, because you all are on my laptop, you get to see the behind the scenes.
And it's hot back.
So you give me the
lights.
right. We got the hot lights on you so they can see you. You know, we don't want you shaded and shadowed. Thank you, Tasha. Sean Curry.
Yeah.
Hello, my pastor. You are doing great.
Thanks be to God. And thanks for the shout out.
Right. So they're out here. They're out here. They just weren't talking. They're out here. Oh, I'm like, who does that sound like me?
You want another song or no?
No, it's 12:30. We'll keep pushing. If we need one later, we'll do it after the raspberry letter, but I think we're good.
It's Mary. You know, they have a song called Walking. And the first time I heard it, I felt like somebody had just reached into my spirit and just took my life and put it in that song. I said, if I could sing.
So that would have been your theme song.
That would have been.
But now here you are coming out the Prince.
Well.
Now here you are. Talking about, baby, I'm a star. Might not know it now, baby, but I are. I'm a star.
You see, that was encouragement for me because I've been down here.
Absolutely.
And pushed down so much, and I didn't see the beauty.
You didn't see the star.
So now I do. I live it. I sing it. I walk it.
Right.
7 seconds.
Walks it and dances it, and then get up and be like, okay, wait a minute, I'm out of breath.
You hot, Karen.
You are listening to 88.5, the voice of Shelby County Schools. Welcome back to Soar with Coach Karren. Our topic today is My Sister's Keeper. And sitting in with me, I have Reverend Autura Eason-Williams representing My Sister's Keeper event, and Joyce Kyles, the star. Joyce Kyles, domestic violence survivor and executive director of Walk Into a New Life. And for those that are viewing on Facebook Live on the Coach Karren page, you actually get the behind the scenes, so you know why that was a joke. So I want us to, we're going to jump into the raspberry letter. So for the raspberry letter, sometimes people write in just randomly for advice. Sometimes they are very pointed. And today, this letter is for this episode. So it says this: Dear Raspberry Letter, this year, I rekindled a relationship with someone I dated ages ago as kids. We dated briefly once before, but we were both extremely young and unfocused. And I couldn't tell you what really happened. Now that we are back, things are going well, but my mom and my sister are concerned about him. They say he's too controlling and that I'm too gullible and too trusting of him. Yet for me, he's everything I prayed for. He's everything I prayed about in a man. He's protective. He's a provider and attentive. When I must work late, he will come up to the job to make sure I make it home safely, even when he works early the next morning. My mother and sister don't like him because he is critical of my church and doesn't want me to continue to go to church I grew up in. He doesn't like my pastor, often makes negative references toward the men of my church. I've asked him to stop, but I know it's primarily because he has had a negative church experience. This issue came to a head between my folks and him over a dinner a couple of weeks ago. The conversation became very heated. Afterwards, he gave me an ultimatum. Said I need to decide about what church I was going to attend or the relationship can't go any further. I am torn between my roots and family and my first love and don't know what to do. Your thoughts? Oh, yeah, the wheels are turning. Ooh, the wheels are turning.
You couldn't have told us this out there.
I want that Holy Spirit just drop on you. Just give it.
That's why I passed to her first.
So my understanding, the letter is they are in a relationship, not a marriage.
Correct.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And he's very, in her words, he's protective, he's a provider, he's attentive. In her family's words, he is controlling. He's doing a little too much for them.
But she loves her church.
Mm-hmm. She wants to stay at her church, and he wants her to leave her church.
Personally, I mean, it's not anything profound. I think she should stay in her church until this relationship matures to something else.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I think it's problematic that it seems that he's saying that it cannot mature to something else unless she leaves her church. That seems to be problematic.
Right. That we don't know where our relationship is going, but I've got to drop everything.
Right. I've got to
just
abandon
to see
my roots.
Yeah, just to see if it may work.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So Joyce, what do you think about the part where I'm trying to look back at the letter? When I must work late, he will come up to the job to make sure I make it home safely, even when he works early the next morning.
I mean, as far as that part goes, I think that that's just something gentlemanly to do anyway. You know, my bigger concern, I guess, with all of it, without obviously not knowing all the details, is why, if it's solely about the family being concerned and him being controlling specifically about the church, if there's some other things that they're seeing. But holistically, I'm with the two of you with that. You know, I don't want to uproot what I know and what has worked for me on the what if, the maybe, because I've done that. Been there, done that, made a t-shirt, wrote the book, and and I sell it. Right. So
www.
So for me, if people around you that you love and you trust, if they are picking up on things that says this doesn't feel right, then I always try to encourage people to listen to that. Now, ultimately, the decision is yours to make. But do listen to that, because these are the people that have been around you. And to the point that she said, at some point they were kids, and so they have reconnected. A whole lot has happened. You know, in my life
happens. Absolutely.
Lot. And so the perception in the way that I would approach things when I was 18 is not the way that I would approach them at 48. So my thinking is going to be different, and the way that I approach that is going to be different. And so for this young lady, I would say, you know, your faith is your faith. Your walk is your walk, whether it's Christian, Muslim, whatever it is. Right. That is your faith and your walk, and that is your foundation. There's more men. Men are scarce. So I'm going a little different direction real quickly, but I do feel the need to say this.
Come on, singles.
You know, men are scarce, because I hear this all the time. Well, that's because you got a man. Yeah, but I had me first. And I had to learn how to keep me first. Right. And it was a man who pointed that out to me. Keep me first. Protect my heart first. It's some more men out there. Just like I had two knuckleheads in my life. You know, in my previous experiences, I have a good one now. So if you wait and you are patient and you follow your faith and you focus on your faith, he will bless you with the desires of your heart in accordance to his will, his way, his plan, and his purpose. Because see, he can be very nice. I say that of abusers all the time. Abusers are nice to the people around them. They're going to be nice to you until they're not nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when you're on the inside, you don't see it the way that the people on the outside see it.
Right. You know, there was a part, she said that he talks negatively about her pastor and makes negative references toward the men in the church. She said, I've asked him to stop, but I know it's primarily because he has had negative church experiences. So there needs to be some counseling there.
Yes.
So even as she is seeking advice to make this decision, I would impress upon her to try to get him to seek help for his issue.
And I just want to say this really quickly because I just talked with someone about this last week. If that is important to you to get the counseling, because I tell people, folks say you're crazy if you don't get it. I say you're crazy if you don't get it.
Yeah.
And so if it's important to you to get the counseling and that individual that you're with is so adamant about they don't want it, then that's a red flag too. Because it's about being in relationship together and discovering together. Right. So go and get that help for yourself. Encourage that person that you want to be with to get some help, because it sounds like he has some deep root issues with the church. If he processed those, then maybe he could see the church in a different light. Right. Or if he doesn't with your church, y'all will see it at two different churches and he's on his way.
Now, Jenny says this. Now, Reverend Autura, I'm coming right to you. Jenny says he is controlling. He has I'm reading from Facebook Live. He has a my way or the highway mentality. He demands that she make concessions and not him. And she said kick him to the curb, but that was her. That was her advice. But okay, Reverend Autura, you about to say something?
Yeah, it sounds like to me that he is wanting her to do work that he needs to be doing. So he has problems with the church, with her church and the church in general.
In general, yes.
That's some work that he needs to do. But instead of him doing his work, he wants her to accommodate him not being willing to do his own work.
Right.
I see a lot of controlling just in the way she describes the letter. Even him showing up to the job to make sure she gets home safely could be a controlling behavior. It just hasn't manifested itself.
Right. You just have to watch it.
Negatively.
You have to pay attention to it. Absolutely.
The problem, I'm not exactly sure because she doesn't say what it is with the pastor and the men of the church, but the fact that it's the pastor and the pastor is probably a man and the men of the church.
Random men of the church.
Right. Yeah. That sounds like, exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds like some controlling behavior. He doesn't want her around too many different men.
In anyone that would give a different impression of him. Right. So, sister, we are trying to keep you. So whatever it is, even if you could have a conversation with your mother and your sister, see what it is, hear them out and pay attention, because it's easy. Hindsight is easy. You have to really pay attention when you're in it to see the things that we really don't want to see. And I hear in the letter that he's doing this for me. He is the one that I prayed for, and I get it. At being a single sister, I get it. But we still have to be careful, and we still have to be aware. So I hope she was listening. I'm grateful that we could share a little wisdom. I also hope it helps someone else who is journeying down the same path. Listen, that's this week's Raspberry Letter. If you want to submit a letter or question, go to the Coach Karren Facebook page or to CoachKarren.com. We'll be back after this short break with my Soar Moment. So don't move. Hold what you got. You're in the right place at the right time. This is the right station. This is Soar with Coach Karren on 88.5, the voice of Shelby County Schools.
You're really good at this.
Well, thank you. It was apparently a hidden talent, because this is not what I grew up to do.
And then we don't know what to pray for. I mean, we think we know what to pray for. We do not know what to pray for.
Listen, we do not even know what to pray for all the time.
We don't have sense enough to know what to pray for. I remember when somebody says what I prayed for. We need to do a better job about that. And one of the things, that I don't know if we have time to talk about. I guess we talk about it with these people. But one of the features of My Sister's Keeper Summit is kitchen table talks. And that's our outreach beyond this one event once a year, throughout the community, we do kitchen table talks in the neighborhood.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure that we have one on domestic violence. If we don't,
I think it's scheduled.
Can do it.
Well, I don't know. We just did an October
we
one.
Just did. They just had the last one in September, because I know Katrina's been
kitchen table talk.
And
okay.
I know that was talked about, but I don't know that it was actually ever included. But it definitely needs to.
Yeah, we definitely need to do one, and so you can get.
Open to it.
Gwen says those flags are, she said, ruby red flags is what Gwen said. Ruby red flags. She said, watch out, my sister. So at the end, on the last segment, when I come back and ask anything else you want to talk about, let's talk about, bring up kitchen table talk. So those on the air can hear that it's a one-day, half-day event, but there are things that we do each month to continue, the heart of my sister's keeper.
And it's all right to mention the men's business long as I don't say anything about
the kitchen table talk coming up.
I think we just had it.
That's what I thought.
We had one in my church in August.
There was one
in September.
There was the last
so
one.
I don't know if there's one in October, because November 2nd is so close to. I don't know if there's one in October.
I've been sharing them all.
Right.
That was the last one this year, for the year.
There should. I thought there's not one in December.
Have one in January.
Maybe it's not posted yet. Yeah.
Yeah, it was through September, because I got them from Katrina.
Right. And like I said, and probably there wasn't one in October because it was close to November.
About hosting one.
Claiming your dates for 2020.
My son is listening.
Wonderful. So Gwen says, hello, Joy, speak the truth. She said it's good. Tasha said, you better preach. That's why I pray in my heavenly language. So she's talking about what we talking about off the air. She said, that's why I pray in my heavenly language, because we do not know.
That's
right. We don't even know what to ask for. Nicole says, I love kitchen table talks with loved ones. Of course, that's where we got that from. That's where it came from, with families just sitting around the kitchen table and talking, and women sitting around the kitchen table, and that's where you're safe and you give, Oh, I forgot I'm up next. How much time? I have 1:45. Okay. Yeah. So the segments are over. Ooh, I don't know about these guests that don't want to be here.
No, I'm happy to be here. It's just
I understand. I understand only because I'm a Myers-Briggs facilitator. So I get it from that aspect. I don't understand as an introvert. No. Because I rank, I'm probably 100 out of 100 extrovert.
Really?
Yeah, I believe that.
I'm an extroverted extrovert.
But this is
I can go all day and feel horrible, and I'm like, oh, I can't go anymore. I can't do it. And I walk in the room with people like, hey, let's go, let's do it. I pull, because it's all about where you get energy from. Yeah. So I get energy from people. And you'll get energy when you go home and take your nap.
Yes, that's it.
You'll recharge that way. I'll leave here and go somewhere else and recharge around people.
And go to sleep. Every Sunday.
For the recharge.
Michael Jackson, because we were watching a documentary on him, and he's very quiet, shy, reserved. But then when you get on the stage, it's like it's just
yeah.
And then as soon as it's over,
and they've now come up with a name for that, just an introverted or extroverted introvert.
Yeah.
What they call it.
People at my church don't believe me when I say I'm an introvert.
I know pastors that are introverts. You said 20 seconds? Okay. So we coming back with, if I say something and you want to say something, you can. Like if I say something, you want to say, ooh, that's good. That's why I just moved the mic, so we could do, just so you don't say it in the mic. And then I'll be out here loud trying to compete.
You hot.
Welcome back to Soar with Coach Karren. Now it's time for the Soar Moment. Soar stands for success over and above reason, and we want to be intentional about addressing the success in every area of our lives. Am I my sister's keeper? If you had asked me that in my 20s, my answer would have been absolutely not. There was something about being in groups of women that irked me. I only had 2, maybe 3 women that I rolled with, and I didn't even want to spend time with them all at the same time. I remember I became inactive in my sorority because I couldn't take attending sorority meetings. There were too many women in one place. I had mostly male friends because for some reason I was convinced that they were the only ones who understood me, and I didn't have to put on pretenses to prove anything to anybody. There was something about being in the pack that I couldn't take. Now, fast forward many years and look at how my life has changed. I've realized that I am my sister's keeper, and the reason I couldn't stand being in the pack is because I was called to lead a part of the pack. There's something that sisters provide for sisters that can only be grasped by understanding that best answer to the question, am I my sister's keeper? Keeping your sister is a necessary art form that we must all embrace. There is a power being in the right room with the right women. There is an energy when women get together, unbossed, unbought, and unbothered, just to be in the space where others understand your struggle, lift you up, and love you through. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes. Now I am. See, this phrase originated in Genesis chapter 4 when Cain became jealous of Abel and killed him. God came back and asked Cain where Abel was, and his response was, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? I'm certain that Cain's sarcasm was just a cover for his crime, just something to say that would disguise his guilt for not safeguarding the relationship between he and his brother. But if the question was asked, then there was an expectation. We are expected to care for others. We are expected to feel a concern for our sisters and our brothers. Cain's response was really an unwillingness to accept responsibility. My response in my 20s was an unwillingness to accept my responsibility. God has gifted me with a measure of encouragement and confidence to share with my sisters. I even got a double dose of motivation that can push me and my tribe. Now I am willing to accept my responsibility. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. You have a responsibility to your sisters. You have a responsibility to our sisters. Will you accept the responsibility, or will you continue to let your sister stumble over something you could have told her was there? Will you continue to let your sisters stumble in unhealthy relationships? Will you continue to let your sisters face financial crisis because they have not been equipped? Will you continue to let your sisters live unhealthy lifestyles and attend the funeral saying she was so young? You have a responsibility to your sisters, and your sisters have a responsibility to you. I am responsible for holding a safe space for my sisters. The world is unforgiving and life can be ruthless. We all need a space where we can take off our masks and lay down our weights and just breathe. I am responsible for providing wisdom and guidance for my sisters. I am responsible for sharing my lived experience with my sisters. There's some lessons that can be taught and not bought. It's my responsibility to journey with my sisters and live those lessons. I am responsible for helping her to lift her head and throw back her shoulders and walk boldly into her purpose. I am responsible for helping my sisters to soar. When I was younger, I didn't want to be my sister's keeper because I didn't want to be kept. Now that I am older, I know the value of being kept by another sister. I know the value of sisters keeping me straight and keeping me safe and keeping me sane, keeping me on point, keeping me on task and keeping me on the path to greatness, keeping me honest, keeping me holy, and keeping me even when I'm headstrong, keeping me living, keep me loving, and keep me laughing. And I promise I will do the same for you. Am I my sister's keeper? Yes, I am. And so are you, whether you know it or not. Find your sisters, find your tribe, find your covenant group, and declare that you are your sister's keeper. That's the Soar Moment, and I'm sticking to it. I went too long. I went into other things. We can come out. You are listening to Soar with Coach Karren on 88.5 WQOX. We have come to the end of Soar with Coach Karren, another wonderful episode. And this episode has been about my sister's keeper. I'm grateful for my guests that have been here, Joyce Kyles, Reverend Autura Eason-Williams. Thank you so much for stopping by. One thing that I always want to do before we leave, I want you to tell the listeners whatever it is that you have coming up. I know you have an event with men coming up on November 2nd, so I want us to talk about that briefly at this point, but just tell them what it is and where they can get more information, all that good, wonderful stuff.
All right. So thank you for the opportunity. I love this show. I love you. You know that.
And I love you back. I will keep you, my sister.
Okay. And I'm thankful to everybody that has tuned in, whether you're tuning in live or the replay. Walking into a new life, one of our biggest pushes is the encouragement and upliftment of men, because men have been the reason for my sadness, but men have also been the reason for my joy.
Gotcha.
And so
Okay.
I want people to know about this event. We've been hosting, this will be our 7th year, and it's a men's advocacy brunch where we honor men in the community who are working in advocacy, whether it's domestic violence or an intersection. And the idea is to connect men with other men so that we can continue to do this work. It's November 2nd. You can come to Facebook on our Walking Into a New Life page, or come to Joyce Cause's page, or you can go to the website at wianl.org, or you can go to Eventbrite and just look up men.
Everywhere, just go somewhere.
If you just go to Eventbrite and go to 7th Annual Men's Brunch here in Memphis. So that way you can get all the details about what it is, why we do it. And of course, if you or someone that you know is going through domestic abuse, please, please, please reach out to me. Go to our page, fill out a form, send me a message if you need to, info@wianl.org. Give us a call, 466-6182. But reach out, and if you are in immediate danger, by all means, do not call me. Call 911.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you cannot remember all that, because she gave you the yellow pages, if you can't remember all that, after the broadcast, we're going to post everything on the Coach Karren page. So especially for those who are viewing live on Facebook Live, so you know where the page is. If you can't remember the other item, go there, and we'll make sure we have all the information. So Reverend Autura, what do you have coming up? Any more information about? Oh, we were going to talk about the kitchen table talks also.
Yes.
With My Sister's Keeper. My
Sister's Keeper, the summit is once a year.
Right.
But throughout the year, we host kitchen table talks in the community. In August, there was one hosted at Capelville United Methodist Church, and it was about single mothers. It was for single mothers.
Okay.
And Clarissa Joy was the facilitator.
I know. Clarissa Joy's been on Soar. Awesome.
Job. So we do those. Look for those throughout the year. We will be hosting another one, but it won't be until November. But there are going to be quite a few before you get back to Capelville. I also wanted to say about the summit, we're going to have a Christian comedian. She came last year. Her name is Chocolate.
Shanita Morris.
Her government name is Shanita Morris.
She will be back. Yes.
She will be back this year. Laughter is good for the soul.
Yes.
And she is absolutely funny. And then Pastor Karren Todd, Coach Karren,
all those people
will be our closed out speaker. So you do not want to miss inspiration from Pastor Karren Todd.
So if you are free on November 2nd and you are an African American female, we really would love for you to join us at My Sister's Keeper. You can go to the Methodist LeBonner Healthcare website, actually methodisthealth.org. /MSK, and that'll give you, so you can register. Registration is required. There is no fee to come.
Yes, it's absolutely free.
And we actually give you food. Anytime I'm involved in something, we will be eating. So just so you know, I'm involved in it. But it is an amazing time. It was great last year. Prayerfully, God will give me something wonderful to say to challenge you before we leave, but we would love for you to come. Also want to mention Project Stand is this Sunday. If you haven't gotten your tickets, also it's giveaway tickets, Kabanje.
So I give them away.
Well, no, I'm gonna give them away. Hey, we're gonna ride on the air. Listen, this is what I want you to do. We're gonna take the 7th caller. Is that too many callers? I like 7. It's number completion.
Okay.
Yes.
I got two free tickets for the 7th caller, and the number is. I can't stand him. The number is
454-4885.
454-4885. So go ahead and start calling now. I got 2 tickets. I got some more. So the phone is ringing already. Come on, 7th caller. I'm going to give you those tickets. It's for this Sunday at 4 p.m. Our guest keynote is Angela Winbush. So we get to hear from her. She's a survivor and a songstress. So it is going to be absolutely amazing. So I thank you guys for listening. Let's keep the conversation going by sharing your thoughts on social media. Tag me or use hashtag SOAR901. Join the Facebook page at Coach Karren Todd, or go to CoachKarren.com. 2 R's in Karren, 1 for real and 1 for relevant. Listen, it's time for me to go, but it's time for you to live a life that delivers purpose, promise, and power. It's time for you to soar. Kabanje is up next. Make sure you tune in tomorrow for the Midday Lunchbox. I will see you on the radio next Tuesday on the only station you and your family can agree on, 88.5 FM.
I never church for anybody else singing.
Bye, y'all.